Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and shocking discoveries from your pocket change. And today we're uncovering the unbelievable story of how a seemingly ordinary 1994 1-cent coin, yes, just a humble Lincoln penny, has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike by fetching prices up to $492 and even more in some rare instances. All thanks to a combination of rare minting errors, production anomalies, and a wave of growing interest in numismatics that's bringing these overlooked cents into the limelight like never before. So sit back, stay curious, and get ready for an extraordinary journey into the specific factors, striking defects, and collector psychology that have turned the 1994 penny into a piece of unexpected American history with surprising financial value. Because while the average person might assume all 1994 pennies are equal and worth nothing more than their face value, the reality is that some rare examples produced by the US Mint that year possess highly unusual characteristics, such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, planchette errors, transitional metal compositions, and other mint-induced oddities that catapult them from everyday currency into the coveted world of high-value collectibles. And to understand why, we need to rewind and look closely at how coins are made, where mistakes occur, and what makes these errors both rare and desirable. Because each minting process begins with blank metal discs known as planchets being fed into heavy coining presses which then stamp designs onto both sides using dies. And while the technology is sophisticated, errors can and do happen, especially in years with high production volumes like 1994 when the mint struck billions of pennies, creating the perfect environment for a wide range of minting mishaps to slip through unnoticed and into public circulation. Meaning some 1994 pennies that reached the hands of ordinary people were hiding incredible secrets under their worn copper plating, such as double die obverse or reverse errors which occur when the coin die itself is improperly manufactured by receiving more than one misaligned impression from the hub, causing visible doubling of features like the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile. And in the case of certain 1994 cents, collectors have found examples where the date 1994 or the motto, "In God We Trust," appears distinctly doubled, making them instantly attractive to error coin collectors who value such abnormalities for their uniqueness and rarity. While another significant class of errors that drives up value includes off-center strikes where the coin is struck outside the center of the planchette due to improper feeding or alignment, often resulting in partial designs, missing legends, or even blank areas on the coin surface. And depending on the percentage of off-center strike, especially when combined with a full or partial date visible, these coins can become dramatically more desirable, sometimes doubling or tripling in value compared to minor misstrikes. And then there are die cracks, die breaks, or cuds, which are the result of the working die becoming damaged or fractured during high-pressure coin production, leading to raised lines, lumps, or missing sections of the design on the struck coin. And these so-called retained cuds or die chips are highly collectible, especially when they occur in unusual spots such as across Lincoln's eye, through the date, or over key phrases like Liberty. And when they become large enough to noticeably distort the coin's design, their value can rise exponentially as collectors search for bold, dramatic examples that stand out from the more common and subtle varieties. And one of the most dramatic and potentially lucrative errors associated with the 1994 cent is the transitional error, which involves the use of an incorrect planchette or composition during the minting year, such as when a coin is accidentally struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination or composition, like the rare instances where a penny is struck on a zinc-coated steel planchette from the 1943 wartime era, or on a foreign coin planchette from another country whose blanks were mistakenly mixed with domestic ones at the mint. And while these errors are incredibly rare, when authenticated, they can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, pushing the value of what should have been a 1-cent piece into luxury territory. And then there's the influence of repunched mint marks or RPMs, a more subtle error type but nonetheless fascinating to seasoned collectors, where the mint mark, such as this D for Denver, is struck more than once and slightly off alignment, creating a shadow or doubling effect under magnification. And while these can be hard to spot without a loupe or microscope, the value assigned by collectors can be surprisingly high depending on the severity and visibility of the repunching. And it's also worth noting that the year 1994 didn't just produce coins at a single facility. US cents from that year were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, and while San Francisco produced proof coins, the most valuable error specimens tend to originate from the massive production runs at Denver or Philadelphia, where quality control may have been stretched thin due to the sheer volume of coins being produced. And within those billions of coins are hidden a tiny handful of specimens with extreme errors, sometimes even struck on dime planchets, resulting in undersized and lightweight pennies with missing design elements that instantly catch the eye of collectors and drive up the bidding price, especially when authenticated by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC, who certify their error status and assign them official grades based on condition and eye appeal, adding both legitimacy and demand in the numismatic market, where certified error coins regularly outperform standard issue examples and often sell in competitive auctions and dealer platforms. And beyond physical errors, part of what makes certain 1994 pennies so valuable is the psychological appeal and mystique of finding something rare in the ordinary, a concept that drives much of the collector world, where the thrill of the hunt adds emotional and financial value to discoveries. And in a coin like the 1994 penny that is still commonly found in change, the possibility that an overlooked fortune lies hidden in a drawer or old coffee can give people a powerful reason to pay attention and investigate their coins more closely, and this renewed interest drives up demand and prices even further, especially for coins in uncirculated or mint state condition that retain their original luster, sharp detail, and clean fields with minimal wear or contact marks. And in the case of error coins, even circulated specimens can fetch high prices if the error is bold enough to stand out, such as dramatic doubling, gross misalignments, broad strikes that lack rims, or missing clad layers that give the coin a distinct silvery appearance that's easily spotted and immediately intriguing. And it's this blend of genuine rarity, compelling visual error, condition quality, historical production context, and enthusiastic collector demand that drives the price of select 1994 pennies up to $492 and sometimes even more when rare combinations of errors are present on a single coin, such as an off-center strike with a double die and a clip planchet all on the same piece, which is the numismatic equivalent of a triple jackpot and nearly impossible to replicate intentionally, making such coins the crown jewels of Lincoln cent errors. And given that over 6.5 billion 1994 pennies were minted, even the tiniest fraction of error specimens can still leave thousands of valuable coins in circulation or hidden in collections, providing a tantalizing opportunity for everyday people to stumble upon big money in the smallest denomination. And this is exactly why so many hobbyists, collectors, and even casual observers are turning to their pocket change, scouring rolls from banks, and visiting flea markets and estate sales in the hope of discovering one of these hidden gems. And while most 1994 pennies may not be worth more than a cent, the key takeaway is that knowledge is power. Those who learn to spot the key signs of value, who understand what to look for in terms of doubling, strike, alignment, weight, coloration, rim details, mint marks, and design anomalies, are those who stand to potentially turn a simple coin into a highly valuable asset. And with increased coverage in the media, YouTube, and coin forums, the popularity of coin hunting has soared in recent years, pushing demand for known varieties higher, leading to multiple record-setting auction results for rare 1994 error cents and encouraging more people than ever to inspect the coins they once ignored, leading to a renaissance in modern U.S. coin collecting and an upward trend in the market value of these once dismissed coins. And the future may hold even more value for these rarities as surviving examples grow fewer, and the best preserved or most extreme error types become cornerstones of private collections or museum archives, preserving them as important artifacts of American minting history and economic culture. And that's the incredible truth behind why a 1994 penny, which most people would pass over without a second thought, could be hiding nearly $500 in value, and why it pays, literally, to keep your eyes open, your magnifier handy, and your curiosity alive, because the next time you check your change, you might just be holding a little copper-colored piece of history that's worth a whole lot more than you think. Next, 2007 D1 cent USA coin collectors and curious minds alike, if you've ever wondered how a single penny could be worth more than $364, then buckle in, because today we're diving into the fascinating story of the rare and highly coveted 2007 AD Lincoln Memorial Cent, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but holds a series of incredible errors and striking anomalies that elevate its value to the level of collector legend. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone who's just stumbled upon this story with a pocketful of change, you're about to discover how one of the most common denominations in American currency, just 1 cent, can defy expectations and fetch hundreds of dollars in auctions and private sales, all because of a remarkable set of minting mistakes and mint mark quirks that have stunned experts and enthralled collectors since their discovery. So let's unravel the mystery behind this copper-plated zinc wonder and explore the unique features and fascinating Circumstances that transformed this small copper-colored coin into a treasure trove of value, rarity, and historical intrigue, beginning with its origin at the Denver Mint in 2007. A year that at first seemed entirely routine for penny production but turned out to produce a limited number of specimens so unusual and flawed that even experienced graders and coin professionals have debated their origins and implications. And when you look at a standard 2007 AD Lincoln cent, you might see Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and a shiny copper hue that seems indistinguishable from billions of other pennies minted in that era. But upon closer examination of the rare era specimens, collectors began to notice bizarre irregularities that set these coins apart in the most dramatic ways. Starting with off-center strikes that appear as though the coin blank was misaligned during striking, leading to portions of the design missing or dramatically shifted, with some examples showing up to 50% off-center alignment, a feature that can multiply a coin's value significantly depending on how visually striking and severe the misalignment is. And that's just scratching the surface, because the 2007 AD era coins also exhibit signs of double striking, where the coin is struck more than once by the dies but not in perfect registration, creating the dramatic illusion of shadowed features, double dates, and ghostly images of Lincoln's bust or the memorial columns echoing in the fields of the coin. And even more intriguing are the so-called die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally collide without a planchette between them, imprinting traces of one design into the other. And collectors have found 2007 D specimens where the faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial appear on the obverse side of the coin, as if haunting the field behind Lincoln's shoulder, which adds yet another layer of fascination and complexity to this issue. And among the rarest forms of errors found on this date are the dramatic cuds and die breaks, raised, blob-like features caused when part of the die itself breaks and allows molten metal to flow into the void, resulting in extra metal appearing on the finished coin, sometimes obscuring part of the date or the mint mark and transforming the coin's appearance entirely. And these errors are highly prized not only for their dramatic visual appeal but also because they mark a precise moment in the die's life cycle, offering collectors a tangible piece of the minting process gone wrong. And that's not all. Some of these 2007 AD cents also exhibit plating blisters and bubbles, artifacts from the copper plating process on the zinc core which, if not perfectly bonded, can produce strange raised bumps or even peeling, which when combined with other errors creates a multi-lead anomaly that sharply increases the coin's appeal and value. And in even rarer cases, some coins have been discovered with missing clad layers, exposing the silvery zinc underneath and giving the coin a ghost-like appearance that is both unsettling and mesmerizing. And this combination of aesthetic oddity and mechanical failure makes the 2007 AD penny a case study in how minting imperfections, when rare enough, can elevate a coin to a status far beyond its face value. And speaking of rarity, the quantity of these error specimens is unknown but assumed to be exceedingly small, making each verified example a highly sought-after target for error collectors and Lincoln cent enthusiasts alike. And as with many high-value coins, condition plays a crucial role. Uncirculated examples with clear, dramatic errors and minimal contact marks are the true stars of this niche, often commanding prices upward of $364 and in some cases even more, especially if the coin is certified by top-tier grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, which offer third-party authentication and encapsulation that ensures both authenticity and preservation. And another fascinating element of the 2007 AD cent saga is the speculation around how such a multitude of errors could occur on a single year and mint mark combination, with theories ranging from deteriorated dies being used past their prime, inexperienced operators at the presses, or even rushed production timelines leading to increased oversight failures and lax quality control. And some go even further, wondering whether specific rolls or bags of these pennies were inadvertently set aside by mint workers or collectors in the know, only to be discovered years later when coin roll hunters or estate liquidators began cracking open old bank boxes and stumbled upon one of these accidental treasures. And the story continues to evolve as new examples are found and submitted for certification, pushing the limits of what's known and understood about this peculiar year and its minting anomalies. And while most people may overlook the humble penny as worthless in modern commerce, the 2007 AD reminds us all that treasures can hide in plain sight and that the most mundane of objects can sometimes tell the most extraordinary stories. And beyond the physical errors themselves, the coin has also gained a kind of mythic status within online communities and collector circles, where forums, blogs, and video channels have documented sightings, shared photographs, and debated valuations. creating a cultural footprint for the 2007 AD era cent that far exceeds its material makeup or original purpose as a simple medium of exchange, and whether you view this coin as a quirky byproduct of industrial flaws or as a rare artifact worthy of investment and historical preservation, there's no denying the allure and fascination it generates, especially when you consider that such a small, overlooked item, something most people wouldn't hesitate to toss in a tip jar or leave in a couch cushion, could be worth more than $364 and potentially climb higher as awareness and demand continue to grow. And if that isn't a perfect metaphor for the strange, unpredictable world of numismatics, I don't know what is, because here we have the intersection of accident, history, design, and market dynamics all wrapped into a 1-cent piece that somehow managed to beat the odds, captivate an audience, and earn a place in the pantheon of modern collectible currency. And as always, if you've got a 2007 D penny in your change jar, it might be worth taking a closer look. You never know when you could be holding a slice of minting history right in the palm of your hand, because while billions of coins are struck every year, only a few ever rise to legendary status, and the 2007 D-era cent is undeniably one of them. Last 2016 D1 cent USA coin lovers and rare currency hunters, today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing, fascinating, and valuable modern coin eras that has captured the attention of numismatists and collectors alike, the 2016 AD Lincoln Shield cent that sold for a staggering $292, not because it's made of gold, not because it's ancient, but because of the rare and dramatic eras that turned an ordinary penny into an extraordinary numismatic treasure worth nearly 30,000 times its face value. So buckle up as we take a journey into how a coin that most of us would overlook in our pocket change became a marvel of modern minting mistakes, and by the end of this video, you might be inspired to go through every jar of loose change in your home with a magnifying glass in hand, because believe it or not, coins like this can slip through the cracks and end up in circulation, waiting to be found by a sharp-eyed enthusiast or a lucky finder who happens to know what to look for. And the 2016 AD Lincoln cent that fetched this kind of money is not your average era coin. It's a combination of multiple striking anomalies and mint mishaps that make it a textbook example of how even the most routine, modern coins can become highly collectible due to freak accidents during the minting process. And let's start with the basics. The 2016 D refers to a Lincoln cent struck in the Denver Mint in the year 2016, featuring the modern shield reverse design that was introduced in 2010. Replacing the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in use since 1959, and though billions of these shield cents have been minted over the years, this particular one stood out because of a collection of highly unusual errors that coincided in a single coin, which is quite rare in and of itself, and that rarity is what drives up the price, because errors like a single double die or a die clash might be worth a few bucks on their own. But when you combine multiple errors, such as off-center strikes, die clashes, double dies, planchette defects, and possibly die caps or brokerage errors, all in a single coin, the cumulative effect is astonishing both in terms of visual impact and collector appeal, and in the case of this 2016 AD cent, it's believed that the coin exhibited several of these minting anomalies at once, starting with an off-center strike, which occurs when the coin blank is not properly seated in the coining chamber and thus the design is stamped off alignment, leaving part of the coin's design missing while revealing blank space or distorted features. This alone can make a coin desirable, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, which they were in this case, increasing both identification and appeal. And then there was the presence of doubling, possibly a form of double die or machine doubling, which makes the devices, especially the lettering and numbers, appear as if they have a shadow or duplicate imprint. And although not all doubling is valuable, true double die errors, which occur during die production rather than the strike, are extremely collectible, and if such doubling appears on prominent areas like the date or the motto "In God We Trust," it significantly enhances the desirability, and reports suggest that this coin may also have had a dramatic die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, causing parts of each die's design to be transferred or mirrored onto the opposite die, and subsequently struck into coins, resulting in ghost-like impressions of reverse elements on the obverse side or vice versa, which gives the coin a surreal, lead appearance that fascinates collectors. And beyond that, there's the possibility of a die cap error, where a struck coin gets stuck to one of the dies and continues to strike subsequent planches, eventually creating a cap die that produces distorted, mushroomed coins over time, and such errors can lead to deeply concave or warped coins with ghost impressions and smeared designs that are highly sought after, especially when the cap lasts for multiple strikes, and there's even a chance this 2016 iridescent might have exhibited some degree of brokerage, a type of error where a previously struck coin sticks to the die and then impresses its design into the next blank, producing a mirror image or incuse design on one side of the new coin, which looks as if the coin were double struck in reverse on one side. And when you imagine the combination of an off-center strike, dramatic doubling, potential die clash marks, planchette flaws, and possibly cap die or brokerage effects all visible on a single copper-plated zinc cent, you can understand how even though billions of coins are made every year, very few exhibit such a spectacular alignment of freak accidents and flaws, and therein lies the value, because error coins are not just mistakes, they are snapshots of chaos inside the minting process, rare physical evidence of what happens when high-speed machinery doesn't function as perfectly as designed, and while some errors go unnoticed or are caught before release, others sneak through quality control, make their way into circulation, and eventually land in the hands of collectors who recognize their uniqueness. And in the world of modern coins, it's especially exciting when errors happen on recent issues like this one, because it shows that even with all the technology, precision, and oversight in the US Mint today, perfection isn't guaranteed, and when something goes wrong, it creates an opportunity for someone out there to stumble upon a tiny copper disc that tells a much bigger story, and this 2016 iridescent is exactly that kind of coin. Now let's dig deeper into why these errors matter so much. First, off-center strikes are graded by how far off the strike is, with 5% to 10% being minor and 50% or more being dramatic and highly valued, especially when the date is visible. And in this coin's case, collectors were thrilled because not only was the strike severe enough to be visually striking, but the date and mint mark were fully intact, making it verifiable and thus appealing. Second, if the coin did indeed show true double die elements, that would mean the die itself was incorrectly manufactured, which is much rarer than common strike doubling caused by mechanical shift or bounce. And true double dies can sometimes become famous varieties if enough are discovered. Think of the 1955 double die cent or the 1972 and 1995 varieties, and although 2016 AD isn't known for a major double die series, isolated examples can be even more valuable due to their scarcity. Third, the addition of die clash marks adds to the story, because such marks indicate that the dies themselves collided without a planchette, possibly due to a timing or feed error. And when that happens, the opposing designs transfer to each other's surfaces, creating permanent changes in the die that then appear on multiple coins struck afterwards, and these marks can look like ghostly outlines or mirrored design elements in unexpected places, like parts of the Lincoln Memorial showing up behind Lincoln's portrait, or elements of the shield design appearing on the obverse. Fourth, if a die cap or brokerage event occurred, that adds a layer of rarity and drama because those errors are less likely to last long in production before being noticed and corrected, and coins affected by those types of mistakes often have significant warping, concave surfaces, ghost imprints, or blurred designs that make them visually stunning and unmistakably abnormal, and when you compile all of these into a single specimen, the resulting coin is almost like a Frankenstein of minting errors, a once-in-a-decade specimen that attracts high bids from collectors who recognize that such a piece is not only valuable in terms of rarity, but also in terms of storytelling, as it encapsulates so many failure points and unusual conditions from the mint's high-speed coinage process. And what makes the 2016 iridescent even more fascinating is that it's a relatively recent issue, meaning there could still be others like it out there, unrecognized, sitting in pocket change, coin rolls, or forgotten jars. And for collectors, that's the dream, to find a coin that others missed, to spot the anomaly that turns a 1-cent piece into a headline-grabbing auction item. And in terms of diagnostics, collectors recommend checking for multiple points, examine the cent for strike alignment, look at the rim to see if any part is thicker, thinner, or completely missing, scrutinize the devices and lettering for shadows or duplication, tilt the coin under light to look for mirrored images or incuse areas that might suggest a die clash or brokerage, check the surfaces for signs of warping or doming that might hint at a cap die, and always compare against known images and references from reputable error coin communities and publications, because while many modern cents might look strange due to post-mint damage or environmental wear, a true error will show consistent, symmetrical, or mechanistic patterns that indicate it was born that way. And ultimately, coins like the 2016 iridescent that sold for $292 remind us that numismatics is not just about age or rarity, it's about uniqueness, the story behind the metal, and the chance that even a humble penny can be a prized find if fate, machinery, and human error all align just right. And this is why we say always keep your eyes open, always check your change, and never underestimate the power of a small, round disc to carry with it an extraordinary story, a piece of minting history, and maybe, just maybe, a value hundreds or even thousands of times greater than what it says on its face, because sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones we least expect. And with that, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the remarkable and mysterious world of error coins.